Hello everybody. Today we're going to be going through a little bit of division. I've written some sums for myself that I'm going to go through. And yeah, just let me know if you've got any questions because this is the best way to do division really. So it would be really helpful if you know how to do it. So first one I'm going to start off with is 24 divided by 2. Okay, there's my 24. I'm dividing it by 2. So think of it like you got 24 toys and you're going to share it amongst 2 people. So how many toys will they get each? So first thing that we'll do is we see if 2 can go into 2. How many times does 2 fit into 2? It fits in once. So we put a 1 on top. How many times does 2 fit into 4? It fits 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. So 24 divided by 2 equals 12. That's the first one. Nice and easy. Next one, same sort of thing. What is 48 divided by 2? First things first, 2 into 4. How many times does 2 fit into 4? 2 times 2 is 4. Fits in 2 times. How many times does 2 fit into 8? 2, 4, 6, 8. It's in 4 times. And there we go. That one has been solved as well. Now we can use this as well, even when it's not dividing by 2. Dividing by 2 is when it's easiest, but we can still do it for divide by 3. 48. 48 toys divided equally amongst 3 people. This is when things will get slightly trickier, because now we'll have remainders. How many times does 3 fit into 4? Now 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 3 is 6. 6 is too big, we're only talking about 4. How many times does 3 fit into 4? So we have to disregard going in twice. It goes in once, and then it's got one remainder. And what that means is, if you've got 4 toys that you're splitting amongst 3 people, they all get a toy each, 1 toy each, and then there'll be 1 toy left over. That takes us from 3 to 4. So with that remainder, we end up putting it over here, next to that next number. And you do it just to the left of it and a bit up. That way it sort of looks like 18. And that's what we want it to look like. Because then the next thing that we do, remember in these ones we would go 2, how many times does 2 fit into 8? This time we're saying how many times does 3 go into 18? And if you know your 3 times tables, it will go in 6 times. So 48 divided by 3 equals 16. Now as you can see, none of these ended up with any remainders at the end. They all ended up going in perfectly. But how about one where it wouldn't go in perfectly? How about 25 divided by 2? And I know that's going to get me a remainder because 25 is an odd number. And all my 2 times tables numbers will end in even numbers, like 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. This ends in an odd number. How many times does 2 go into 2? Once. How many times does 2 go into 5? It goes 2 times, because 2 times 2 is 4. And to go from 4 to 5, that means there's going to be 1 remainder. So I put R1. 25 divided by 2 is 12 remainder 1. Remainder means leftover. We've got 1 left over. Okay? Let's do a slightly harder question now. Because now we're going to add, well, I'm going to show you a new little thing that we've got to look out for. Let's say a bigger number now. 1008 divided by 3. Now, whenever you've got a number that starts with 1, that makes things a little bit trickier. So from the start, how many times does 3 fit into 1? It doesn't. 1 times 3 is 3. It's too big. So I know when I was at school, I got taught to put an X at the top. To act as multiplication, to say that 3 times the number at the top equals this number in here. Just like over here, 2 times 12 equals 24. 3 times whatever this is will equal 1008. But if you don't want to, that's okay. But what I do want you to do is to make sure you join your numbers down the bottom. Because if you don't join your numbers down the bottom, things get a lot trickier. So 3 wouldn't fit into 1. We know that. But 3 will fit into 10. How many times does 3 fit into 10? 3, 6, 9. It fits in 3 times. And to go from 9 to 10, there'll be 1. There'll be 1 left over. So then we put that over here, just next to the 0. So that changes that 0 to be a 10. How many times does 3 go into 10? Well, we just did that. We know that it goes in 3 times. And we'll have 1 left over, which we'll put over here. That turns that 8 into an 18. How many times does 3 go into 18? Again, if you know your times tables, 3 times 6 equals 18. So this is an example of where you have to combine numbers at the start. It's the bigger this number out here is, the more likely it is to happen. Okay? Let's go one more or two more questions. But feel free to ask me if you've got any questions that are similar to this or a little bit harder, and I can help you out. I can put it in a new video. Let's say, how many times does 3 go into 1,206? This is another little trick that we need to learn. So we know 3 doesn't go into 1. So I'm going to have to combine the two. 3 goes into 12 4 times. With no remainders. 3 times 4 is 12. Now, how many times does 3 go into 0? Now, anytime a number can't fit into another, we should put 0, but we never do it at the start, because if you put 0 in front of an answer, it doesn't change the answer. You know, are you 5 years old or are you 5 years old? It's still the same thing. The 0 doesn't play a part. But here, it will play a part. The difference between 4 and 40, it's a big difference. So we do need to make sure we put down a 0. 3 into 0 doesn't go in. Goes in 0 times. And then you would combine these two. 3 goes into 6 twice. So 1,206 toys divided by 3 is 402 toys for each person. Now, I combined the 0 and the 6. Whether you combined it or just did the 6 by itself, it wouldn't make a difference this time. But it would this time. This is the last question. But again, if you've got any questions, put it in the comments below and I can make another video. No problem. How many times does 4 go into 432? 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 3 0 times. Now, if I was going to say how many times does 4 go into 2, that wouldn't work either. So, I have to make sure that I remember what I did up here, which is I combined. As soon as it doesn't go into one number, you need to make sure it combines with the next number. How many times does 4 go into 32? 8 times. So 432 toys divided by 4 children is 108 toys per child. So I hope these examples helped out a little bit. If you'd like me to do a follow-up video with more examples, whether they be nice and easy ones like this one, or whether you want ones with remainders, whatever you would like, I can help you with. Okay? So yeah, thank you so much for your time.